What do you want the American people and people around the world to know about this murder? I want them to know about the atrocities that were being and are being committed against the free Ukrainian people by the Russian military. I went to the town of Boucher, where I went to a shallow grave of 160 civilians who were executed by the Russian army. But before they were executed, Dana, for many of them, their eyes were gouged out, the ears were cut off, then their hands were tied behind their back and they were shot in the back of the head by Russian soldiers, civilians, not soldiers, civilians. And then Russian soldiers went in and raped the mothers and the daughters that were in the house after the men of the house had been killed. And they returned to the indictment. And now, what we see from Donald Trump is what we always see from Donald Trump, insulting anybody who raises any questions about his conduct on January 6 when he invited people to come to Washington and told them it was going to be wild, then spoken before them, told them the election had been stolen, which was a lie, that he had continued from Election Day forward, that he told them that Mike Pence could overturn the election, only Mike Pence could do it, and that if he didn't he'd do it. He would be a major disappointment. Asked them then to march up to Capitol Hill to stop what was going on up there, said he would march with them. But as I told you, Dana, I knew that Donald Trump had a risk of breaking a fingernail. He is such a coward that he won. The way to know that is that when it started to happen, he did not run out of the White House and say, "Put me in front of the cameras. Let me tell those people, stop being violent up there. We shouldn't do it." No, he didn't do that. He sat at his overdone hamburger in the White House dining room he has off the Oval Office and enjoyed watching what was going on. In fact, we know he told Speaker McCarthy that maybe it's those people care more about the fact the election was stolen than you do. Does that sound like somebody who, was concerned about anything other than keeping himself in power? Look, the bigger lie now is that Donald Trump says he is doing this for us. Yet if you listen to everything he has had to say, is he talking about what Joe Biden's inflation has? While the political world was focused on Donald Trump's legal woes, one of his was secretly on an overnight train in Kiev, where he met with Ukrainian President Zelensky and visited cities decimated by Russia's war. Here with me now is former New Jersey governor and presidential candidate Christie. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I want to get to your trip to Ukraine in a minute. But first, you just heard the former president's lawyer criticize the DOJ over this indictment about his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. He says all Trump did was exercise his free speech and follow the advice from his own lawyers. What is your response to that? Look, obviously a federal grand jury in the District of Columbia disagrees.